Hey everybody, it is me, Shaniqua of Shaniqua CTV, also the founder of The Right Diva. I am here with Dr. Aikyna Finch, the incomparable Dr. Aikyna Finch. She is a social media guru as well as an awesome coach, and she's here to talk to us about abandonment and feeling unwanted. So let's go ahead and give her the floor. And Dr. Aikyna, there you go.
Greetings, everyone. I am Dr. Aikyna Finch. I do education, motivation, and social media. And that's what you usually know me as and know me for. But today we're going to be talking about a different type of topic. This is a story that I don't usually share a lot because it doesn't fall into education, motivation, or social media per se, but it is something that did shape me. So, what is my tragedy, so to speak? I don't necessarily think it's a tragedy. It is definitely an issue. Definitely an issue that happens every day. And as long as it keeps happening, it is a tragedy because people don't necessarily need for it to happen. And it's not something that has to happen. That's the thing. It's not something that has to happen. What my tragedy is that I am a product of a single family household due to the fact that one of my parents decided not to be in my life. And, a lot of times when you are in that situation, the other parent will compensate. And in this case, I was told that another individual was my father. And so I'm growing up, and this individual who was also that was told they were my father wasn't really around as much because my mother and him were getting a divorce around the same time. So it was still like there was still a void, but I knew who my father was. So, and I love this gentleman. He was absolutely outstanding. He looked like a modern day Michael Jordan. They have the same face. They both the same height. It was all fun. Yes, honey. So, it was good times. So, then one day, and I have to explain this, my grandmother started this wonderful catalyst off. Um, my grandmother was very blunt to the point, didn't take any mess from anybody or anything, and she just said what she wanted and did what she wanted. So this particular moment, um, my stepfather owed her money, so she was keeping his clothes for hostage. And so, yes, I said that correctly. And so he called for said clothes, and she told him said clothes will be returned when said money is in hand, and hung up the phone. And so I was like, you can't keep, I'm 8 years old now, mind you. You can't keep my daddy's clothes for hostage. You need to give my daddy his clothes back. And she looked me dead in my face and said, that's not your daddy. Your daddy's name is Robert Stevens. I said, oh. So, mind you, I live a block away with my great grandmother and my mother. So I leave my grandmother's house and walk up the block, go to my door and ring the doorbell to get let in. My mother comes to the door. I say, who is Robert Stevens? She turns a pale white. And then I push by her and I go on back into the house. Yeah. So she was not expecting to have this conversation with me until I was 18. So I was 10 years underdue at this point. And so my mother is a very politically correct individual. And so she speaks to me, even as a child, she spoke to me as an adult so that I would understand and not be pushed over or anything. I would understand what words meant. And so she explained to me the situation, uh, we went. I was born in Dallas. This is where I happened, and then a month later, she moved. When she realized that that relationship wasn't going to work, she moved to Nashville to take care of her grandmother because she thought she was sick, but she wasn't sick. But nevertheless, we just stayed in Nashville. And so 8 years later, here we are. So that wasn't good enough for me. So, I went down to my grandmother and I asked her more questions and everything. And she told me that actually I had met him a couple of times. She took me down to Texas when I was 1 and 2 and made sure that he saw me and knew who I was and da da da. But as I got older and could remember, she stopped doing that because, she didn't want to deal, with my mother. So, um, let's fast forward a couple of years up. I do believe I was 10, and we had to go to Texas to sell one of the houses. And so they were like, it's time for you to meet your father. And I'm like, okay. So they do the check around with everybody in the city type of situation to find out, the grapevine where he is, and they find him and everything and tell him that they want me to meet him. And he comes over, and at this time he had retired from his job because when I showed up, he was 41 years old. So needless to say, he has his retirement and all this kind of thing. So, we're 50 now and we're moving on to something. And so he's a cab driver at this time. So, I could go and ride with him and all of this. And so they were like, you're going to spend time with your father while you're here. And now, mind you, he has 3 grown children and several grandchildren at this point. Some of the grandchildren are actually older than I am. And then there's a 6-year-old on top of this. So I remember he was about 5 or 6. So there's a little brother behind this. So my sister that's closest to me is 17 years older than me. And the brother that's the closest to me is 9 years younger than me. So, yes. And, and so needless to say, meeting all of them, I met them all and while I was there. And that was interesting. The boys took me okay. The daughter, not so much because she was used to being the only daughter. And, but, she obliged me, and so, um, mm, and it was what it was. And then I think a year or 2 later, he asked me to come down and stay with him and hang out with him at his house with his wife. So there's a wife at this point as well. And so he goes to work and he leaves me at home, and the wife comes to me and is like, I've talked to Cheryl about this. That's my sister. And and I just have to say, I just don't understand how to take this. I don't understand what how how I feel about this. And at this time I'm about 13, 14 range, and so we're having this conversation, and I'm like, well, I don't know how you're supposed to take it either. I mean, I'm here, and okay. So it came to a head when my little brother had a baseball game, and my dad wanted me and him to go as well. And she didn't know how to explain me because I looked exactly like my father. There was no doubt I belonged to him. But they knew about his grown children and they knew about my little brother, but they did not know about this here. So it was like, well, we'll drive in one car and then y'all drive in another car. And then that way, if y'all need to leave, y'all can leave and all this. And then finally my dad was like, look, we'll just stay home. Y'all go and play. Oh, go to the game or whatever. And I think I would have respected it more if you would have said, I don't know how to explain this. So, I would prefer you stay home instead of going through all these changes. And he felt some kind of way about it too. And so we stayed home, and that was the last interaction I had with the wife. Because the next year he came up to Thanksgiving with us because he was very acquainted with my mom's family. And so we went to Gatlinburg. And well, he didn't tell his wife he was going to Gatlinburg with me and my mother. And so when she found out, yeah, that didn't go very well. And so needless to say, that Gatlinburg trip was the last time I saw my father until I was 26 years old. Because he was like, I can't afford. He helped pay. I was like 14 or 15 the last time I talked to him on the telephone. And basically was like, I can't. This is messing up my home, so I can't deal with you. And so I was like, wow. So first off, you're not there. Then when you are there, then it's all this extra. And so you choose to have your wife over your child. And that is something that is really deep because women go through this all the time, where their fathers are not there, where their father chooses a woman over them, or their father chooses a job over them, or their father chooses this or that over them. And same thing with sons, where their mothers choose this or choose that, or if the mother chooses the this, that, or other over their daughter or son, whatever it is. And what that says to the child is, I'm not good enough for you. And what does that project? You're going around chasing that feeling of need to be wanted, to be loved, to be appreciated. You're going around looking for any place and you end up falling in the wrong place. And that is where a lot of these teenage pregnancies happen, these drugs, these gang involvements, all of this, because they're not getting it at home. And now, don't get me wrong, my mom was the bomb.com mom. I mean, I knew I was loved from up, down, sideways, back and front. Don't get me wrong. But when you have such an extreme on one end and then go to nothing on the other end, it's still kind of like, well, what's wrong with me here? Am I only half good? Or am I only half worthy? And you want to be completely whole, and that does affect you. And no matter what they say, it does affect you. It does. And so, as we're going through, I am graduating on my bachelor's degree, and I changed majors a couple of times, blah, 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 blah. So here we go. I'm about 24, 25 around that time. And I said, I'm going to reach out to this gentleman and ask him if he wants to come to my graduation. And so I still have the address to where he lived in last time I talked to him. And I sent a letter and I left the email and telephone number. Well, the wife sent me a message back saying he doesn't live there anymore. He actually lives in Colorado. My sister handles all his business. He is aware that I sent the letter. But you're going to have to talk to your sister in order to talk to him. I was like, okay. And now I know that he was just as scared as I was. I get that. But to hear that you have to talk to your sister in order for you to talk to him like I'm being screamed all this time was absolutely amazing. I was like, okay, I talked to her. And I was so excited because I was going to have a big sister. I was like, oh my God. And I was like, I can't wait to meet your kids because she had 3 kids. And okay, maybe, yeah, you might. And I was like, oh, okay. And Needless to say, I did speak to him. By the time I spoke to him, it was 2 weeks before my graduation. So he couldn't come up there, but he said he was going to send me a gift and whatever, and send some money to my mom to help pay for the event. He sent some money to pay, and then he sent me a gift when I got to the place. There was 24 long stem roses sitting there waiting at the event place for me for my graduation and all that. And I was like, oh, I was like, oh, my daddy sent me a present, all of that, you know. And I mean, it was amazing to me that I was still so, after all these years, but it was like, it's still your dad, still your dad. Then he made a proposal to me that, because I was graduating and he knew that I wanted to get my master's, he said, why don't you come up here to Colorado and get your master's here? I'll help you, whatever, whatever you need and all that, and now give us some time to get along. I was supposed to stay there for a year. I ended up staying there 7 years. And that was a very interesting 7 years, but I needed to be there because we got to know each other and we got all through all the pain and all the hurt and all the issues. And during the 7 years, I got to meet some of my aunts and uncles and things, and I got to talk more to my sisters and brother and everything. And at the end of the day, it was cleansing. It was cleansing, and now I see a lot of the things that I do and a lot of the quirks that I do, and the reason why I didn't feel like I fit in because I was just like this guy, and it was just like and so it helped me learn a lot more about myself by the way I handled him and the way he saw things. And it made me see that I saw things a lot like him. So when my mother would tell me, she would always tell me that, you're emotional like a woman, but when you do your process and you work like a man. And I do. I work exactly like that man. And so it's very interesting. I ended up getting 3 degrees while I was up there in 7 years. I got 2 master's degrees and my doctorate degree. And of course, to this day, they still fight over my diplomas, which neither one of them have names on. But that's okay. They're still fighting. I became Dr. Finch. I found my love for social media up there. I learned my creative side up there. I learned my spiritual side up there. He is a minister. So we were at the church from the dusk to the dawn. If I went to work, I was at church. It was very interesting to learn that side of me as well. My mother is spiritual as well, but, having the preacher side of him, it explained a lot of my deliveries and things like that, the way I deliver things. But now, I have a 82-year-old father as of March. He is still spry and energetic and fun-loving, and he loves his daughter to death, and I love him to death. And at the end of the day, we get along very well. Out of all of us, I'm the most like him. And I was the one that didn't get to grow up in the household with him, which is kind of interesting. But I did get to spend my time with him later in life. But I want to say this. If you get that chance to reconcile, go for it. And tell them how you feel. Because at the end of the day, it's about your closure. It's not about how they're going to take it. It's about your closure and how you're going to release it. You have every right to release everything you need to release because it was done to you and it's not benefiting you. So you need to let it go. You need to let it be with the person it needs to be with. That is one tool that I would definitely say. Get it out, whether it be on a letter, whether it be in, an email, whether it be something on a piece of paper where you burn it to release it, or better yet, have the actual conversation with the person. And you may not get the answer that you wanted. Did I ever get truly, I'm sorry, those words? Absolutely not. He was born in 26, 29, 36. He was born in 36, so he doesn't know those words. But I got it in other actions, in other ways. And so where I knew that he was sorry and, he wanted to rebuild again. They're not going to react the way you want them to react all the time. But at the end of the day, if you open it up, they'll more than likely walk in to the open door. Now, if they don't walk into the open door, you know what? That's okay too, because you opened it. And that was a big step for you. You opened it, you released it, and you let it go. Whether they take it is not your concern. Whether they take it is not your concern. And you're not supposed to feel bad because they didn't. No. That's something they got to deal with. But you done your part. You opened the door. You opened it for conversation. You released it and you let it go. And you got your closure and you forgave yourself for your part in it. Because yes, you have a part in it. If you're sitting there on decades of bitterness, that's your part. That's your part. There are plenty of ways that we can release our bitterness. There's plenty of professionals that can help us if we need that assistance. So if we're just holding on to it, that's our part in it. We were the vessel that held on to it. So we need to not give away our power and let it go. Our power, our power, our purpose is bigger than our comfort zone. And that includes you letting go of all of the monarchy that you're holding on to so that you can fill that space up with positivity, skill sets, and motivation to move to where you're really supposed to be. Those are my triumphs, my tools, my tragedies, all in one big lump. But I want to thank you for listening, and I hope this helps someone.
Okay, so thank you, Dr. Finch, for sharing your story. But one of the reasons why I wanted you to share that particular story, because I know you also experienced bullying and other things, is because a lot of the times we move into our adult space and into this entrepreneurial life holding on to these hurts, right? And I love that you said that as a child, the message that you get from parents who are not present is that you weren't worthy enough of being present, so we're worthy enough of being chosen in case your parents chose someone or something else over you. So I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough. So how is it that you came to understand your worth, even having lived this?
It didn't come easy because I'm an introvert, so I internalize everything. And so it was always in the background. I mean, I kept pushing through. It was always in the background. It was always that one little stumbling block that was keeping me from my greatness. And then one day, I did a speech or did something, whatever it was, and somebody came to me and said, "Thank you so much for sharing that. That touched me." And it made me realize that I could do it too. And the moment that I realized that by sharing and releasing, I could touch other people's lives, that's when I realized I was worthy, because he gave me this story so that I could touch other lives. It wasn't for me. He gave me all the stories and all the things I went through so that I could touch another life, so that I can understand that other person when they come to me for coaching, when I can understand that person when I'm delivering a speech and I need to hit them right there. That's when I realized that I was worthy, when he chose me as his vessel to deliver.
That's such a good answer because like I said, so many people struggle with this feeling of worth. You coach and I've consulted, and like I said, when people come to you, there's this feeling that they just aren't worthy of their gift, their talent, their skills, their ideas, their dreams, and so a lot of times they get stuck. How else do you think it showed up in your life before you made that connection about being worthy? Because you're very accomplished. You went out and got several degrees. but how else do you think it might have shown up for you so that other people might recognize that they have some closure that needs to take place on their end?
My crutch was school. So I figured out the thing that I was good at, and I excelled it to the hill. A lot of people will find a crutch in another way. When you can't get out of this one thing that you just keep running back to, that's closure. That is your pain speaking to you, saying, okay, I'm still here. I'm still here. You can cover me, and I'm still here. And I'm still here. You're going to have to deal with me eventually. And a lot of people have, addictions because they were covering it. A lot of people have, different addictions, such as, and not just, we're not just talking about just drug addiction, some people are shopaholics, some people are workaholics, some people are, whatever. And that's how, they're addicted to food, whatever soothes that pain for that time being. But it always comes back. But see, this is the thing. How did it manifest in my life? Because I've done the overeating. I've done the overeating. I've done the overbuying. I've done the overworking. I've done, I have right now a $6,000 to about $8,000 barber doll collection because I was trying to fill up my pain. Okay. So, been there, done that, got all those t-shirts. But when you're done masking it and ready to project it so that other people can see what it is, and then they can elevate as well from your story, that's when you know I'm done. When you're ready to do the work that it's going to take, like prime example, when I was doing a lot of overeating, one day I looked into the mirror in 2014 and I'm done. And I went straight to the gym. You understand? And every day I worked it in there. And then it would start, I went from maybe 30 minutes to walking miles and running miles and whatever, because I was done. I was willing to put in the work. And every time I ran, every time I lost weight, because I was an emotional eater, I would hit a plateau because it was something I had to deal with. And then I'd go and deal with that thing. And as soon as I dealt with it, I started losing weight again. And then I would deal with something else would come up, I deal with it, and I start losing weight again. The pain doesn't go away just because you ate it. You just hit it. Well, now, guess what? As you're losing it, it shows up again, and you have to deal with it, or it's going to sit there. And so you got to be ready to do the work. So, yeah, I got plenty of stories. I understand. But one day you're going to wake up and look in that mirror and say, this is not who I am. This is not me. She's behind that. He's behind that. I'm ready to introduce the world to me. And that's when you're going to do the work. So that's when it shows up. I hope that answers your question.
That definitely did answer the question. During the summit, I spoke to Tanika, and she talks about the ugly side of healing. And you just hit on that, is that when you do the work and you're feeling good about doing that work, but you hit that plateau in your life. And that plateau could be in losing the weight. It could be in scaling your business. It could be in getting your education. It could be in anything, right? But what you just pointed to was when you hit those plateaus, it's because it's something that you don't want to work through. So what are some of the tools that you could give that people can try to get over that hump or get through that plateau? Like, what does the work look like?
Well, my work, I'm going to just use my work. When most of my work dealt with people, and usually, and I'm going to explain it like this. Anything that I have not accomplished in my life that I wanted to accomplish is because of people. Anything I can do by myself has been done, did it, gone. But anytime that you have like an award, you need people to vote for you or people to acknowledge you. You want to do a TED talk, you got to be asked to come by people. You know, you have to be doing this by people, okay? and and when you're an introvert, you don't necessarily, people are not on your menu. You're used to doing everything by yourself and you have a problem delegating. So you go around the tree and through the bush to get away from the people. So everything that I was carrying around had to do with how a person had made me feel or how I had made a person feel because hurt people hurt people. And um, so what does the work look like? The work looks like, I'm sorry for how I made you feel. This is really what I meant to say. But instead, it came out like this because I was a hurt individual and didn't want to just say, you hurt me, or that situation hurt me, or I didn't understand it. Instead, I just wanted you to feel the way I was feeling. That's what the work looks like. Okay? Or, prime example, hey, can we start over? I own my truth. This is my truth. I understand that I did this. I understand I did that. Now, please tell me what your side is so that I can either say, explain to you how it really went down, or because, perception is, most of reality, how they perceive it and what really happens sometimes is not always the same. So, you have to deal with the perception. And that's usually a lot of the problem with the work because somebody's perception of something was not the same as the others. And, really dig down in there and say, look, that's over. I want to release that. I hope you want to release that. I hope you accept my apology. I understand if you don't. But today I have released that issue. And I hope that we can come together in releasing that issue. That's what the work looks like.
And that is really interesting that you talk about that, because even if somebody else doesn't want to accept it, you have to accept it. Like you have to accept that you've done your part, right? And you do acknowledge right there that it might be hard to say, I'm sorry for my part and what I've done, but that's just really important. What would you say to the parents who do not realize what their actions are doing right now?
A lot of the issue with my father was that my father was a selfish individual. Whereas he loved his children, he came first. He came first. And he was raised that way. He was the first son, and what way he wanted things to go, usually went, and that's the way he was raised, and that's the way the rest of the world was supposed to flow. He loved him some him. Now at 82, he's wondering where all this, extra love and attention come from. Well, you didn't teach your children to do that. So they're doing them. And if you do how do I say this? They're not going to do what you say, they're going to do what they see. And that's exactly what my other brothers and sisters were doing. They did what they saw. We're all of us, between the five of us, there's three moms. So we all are all about our moms. All of us. All about the moms. But some of them can take him or leave him. And he doesn't understand that. Well, that's what you basically did when you went on vacation and never came back. Or that's what you did when you chose your wife over your child. Or that's what you did when you just went ghost. Okay, I'm no longer needed here, so I'm not going to do anything anymore. Don't be shocked when it's your time to need something and they're not there, because you weren't there for them, but they needed you. Don't be shocked. Now, some children come through and understand, oh, that's just where they are, and they love on them to the very end. and God bless those children. That's usually not how it goes down.
So, the messages today are that you have to put yourself first and to put your spouse above your children, because your children will go on and have their own lives and all of that. Like, how do you think a parent can strike a balance between being a spouse, a human being, and a parent, so that they don't end up with a child who won't visit them in the adult home or what have you?
I think because my mother was all about me. So, hey, bird sleep. The only reason why she wasn't there is because she was at work. That was the only reason, you know. But as a child, it was like you're still not in the building, and you're at work. So, perception. But at the end of the day, I know that, that's, she ate, breathed, slept me. Got it. Then she had her life after the fact, versus this one over here where, he wasn't comfortable, so he just got up and left. It was him. And I think that you have to know you as an individual, because you get bitter if you give your life to other people. There's going to be a little hint of resentment no matter what. I mean, even if you are that nurturer, there's going to be that little thing like, what about me? What about me? And guess what? You deserve to know what about me. You deserve to explore what about me. You deserve that. Also, the children. Grandmama and grandpa didn't birth them. They sure didn't ask for them to be here. You know what I'm saying? So that's not their responsibility. They're here to help, but that's not their responsibility. And so you need to do for these little people that you created. And then as far as the husband, the Bible says you're supposed to cleave together and do your thing. Y'all be supposed to become one whole. Yes, but let's not be stupid. Meaning that you need to know what your name is going on. You need to know what the statements are. You need to know what's going on in the household. That may have came off a little rough. But the point being is, let's not be crazy. We have to have a presence in all spaces. We need to have a presence with our spouses. Because if we don't give them time, then they'll go find their time someplace else. And we need to give our children their time, because they will go find their time someplace else. And we need to give ourselves our time, because otherwise we're going to wake up one day and not know who is the person staring us in the mirror. Because we don't have no place to go give ourselves time to. Okay? Because we're giving it to all these other places. You know what I'm saying? So, balance. And then when you let your spouse know, I'm having a problem here. Can you give me some suggestions on how to help you to, be a support system to you? Sit with the children. What do you like to play with? What is your favorite thing? If somebody down the street knows what your child's favorite color is and you don't, no. And then, whether it's in the wee hours, whether it's in the weekends, whatever, you need to say, spouse, please take young ones off and have bonding time with them so that I can have some. Or, spouse, stay home with said little one and bond with them so that I can go get me some me time. Or spend some time with my friends, or go see a movie, read a book, whatever it is, because you deserve that time as well.
Very, very, very true. And great suggestions. And so that's about setting boundaries. From what I gather, it's about setting boundaries, but also it's really important to include yourself in those things. But as a coach, as a person who has dealt with people, helping them get through their mess and getting over those walls and those humps, um, how did you see those long-lasting problems show up in their business life? And how did you help them get past it?
There's always some kind of little block. You always sabotage yourself some kind of way. And it kind of shows up. Like with me, I was a servant leader. Because I was always looking for that attention, that love, that feeling, I gave all the time. Oh, let me help you. Let me help you. Let me serve you. Help. So what does that mean? I had a problem charging. That was my block. Because I felt like everything I was supposed to do, I was supposed to give. I wasn't supposed to take from nobody, because then if I took, then they wouldn't like me. They wanted, people like you when you give them stuff. They don't like when you take from them, that kind of thing. So a lot of people who have attention issues are usually pretty bad, and usually have some type of money block. You also have the ones that are attention seeker, and then everything is about them. It's the me show, where nobody paid attention to me. They're gonna pay attention to me now. They're gonna pay attention to me now, and 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 then they don't have a problem with taking. They usually charge up the wazoo, because they're like, so many people took from me. Now I'm getting ready to take from them. Okay, and that's usually some kind of attention seeking, or they didn't get enough, or whatever. So it either goes way to the left or way to the right. That's what I usually notice from that. Then the nurturers are usually, ah, everything is wonderful, everything is great, everything. So when it's a conflict, oh, okay, you can have that. No, you can't. No, that's not how it's supposed to go. You have rules for a reason. No. They have a problem saying no, because that's not harmonious. No, it's not a harmonious word. It's not a harmonious word. It's a stock word. I mean, it's a blunt word. So it's not a harmonious word. Now, once you start saying no enough, then eventually you might find some harmony in your life. But the initial actual word is no. So no, it's not harmonious. So they usually stay away from that word. They usually tell everybody, yeah, everything's good. Those are just a few examples of how those things will show up in their lives and in their businesses. And so then they will wonder why, the business is like this black hole. Well, because, you're not feeling that. That's a void in you, and you don't know how to feel it in you. So why would you know how to feel it in your business?
That's really interesting. And it's funny, but those two things that you're talking about tend to be the problems I see in women entrepreneurs, especially, is not being able to say no, or having this money block. Usually the question is, I don't know how much to charge. I'm going to charge $9 for this course. And it's like, that course is really good, Like, that's not a $9 course. It's like a $300 course, So what is just one tool that you can give? And we're going to wrap this up. This was some good stuff. What is one tool that you usually tell your clients to do, or to help them get past this point?
I'm trying to decide how I want to say it. So I guess I'm just going to do the actual delivery. You plan on eating, don't you?
I love that. Yes.
Yeah. Your kids want food too, huh? Yeah. Yeah. Want some clothes on their back, they don't want to go to school naked, right? And you don't want to go to work naked, and you want to have a car to drive, and then better yet, put some gas in it so it can actually move. Those things like that. All of those things take money, and so you're gonna have to ask for the money in order to have these things. So, and guess what? People are unpredictable. So that every 2 week paycheck that you're used to or that every once a month paycheck that you used to, it's not going to flow like that. Not unless you have passive income that comes all the time, or you have people that's on a schedule. But guess what? Once again, you have to ask for the money in order to have these things happening. So I would say asking for the money, getting them to see how much they need to make the shift. Because no mother wants to hear about their child being naked.
Mm-hmm.
But that's usually what's gonna happen unless they go out and go back and get another job, or they start asking for money in their business. You have to hit them where it's real, and let them know that it's worth it. You are worth asking for the money because like I've heard before. Last time I checked, the light bill don't run on air. Light company don't take air. They don't take thank you. They don't take a fruit basket. They take money. You should take the same currency as the light company, as the water company, as the cable company. So, that would be a tool that I would use. And that's a coaching tool that basically is like the questioning where they finally get it. You are giving them open-ended questions so that their light bulb can come on. Because you could tell them all day until you're blue in the face, but until their light bulb comes on, it doesn't really matter.
And see, it's great that you've walked through this, so you know exactly like how to deliver it. Being a person, as you said, who struggled with asking for the money or just struggle with people in general. And, that's not even just for entrepreneurs. It's for somebody who feels like they deserve a raise in their business, in their 9 to 5 or whatever the hours are. So it's one of those things that women, for some reason, have the hardest time doing. And so I thank you for those tools. How can we get in touch with you, especially if somebody needs a coach who's going to be able to talk to them the way that you do about showing up in your life and showing up for those who are there to be served by you?
Well, you can definitely find me on all social media handles at DrADFinch. You can also find me at my website, which is AikynAFinch.com. That's AIKYNAFINCH. And I look forward to speaking with you. Please shoot me a DM or a message in my website, and I will gladly answer it personally.
All right, so I thank you for that, and you guys get in touch with her. She is amazing. As you saw, she will work you through your money blocks. She will help you show up through your message and through your mess. And she's definitely got a whole lot of testimonies that will be able to show you that she is authentic and she knows where you're coming from and how you can work through to get to the other side. So I thank you again, and y'all good night.